Okay, and I believe we are live. All right, hello everyone. If you are one of those people for whom the next several days or weeks of holiday stuff where you're getting together with family and maybe friends and not exactly going to have super easy conversations, today's interview is for you. I am so excited to have Sharon Smith on with me today. The timing for this really could not be better. Sharon's work is as an EFT practitioner helping people mitigate and really get out of pain issues. And today we're actually going to be talking more about emotional pain than physical stuff. So thank you for being here with us, Sharon. I want to, as we get started, I want to first talk a little bit about what is EFT and how does it work? A lot of people are familiar with it, but it is still kind of strange. So can you start by telling us a little bit about what is EFT and why does it help with stuff like this?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking. It's so good to be here, and I'm glad we can see and hear each other now.
Right?
Well, humans are electrical in nature. And we know this, and it's not anything weird. If you've ever had an EKG, you know that they're measuring the electrical output of your heart. So that's scientifically measurable. Now, this charge flows through our bodies, and we know this. And we are wired just like the motherboard in a computer. So we're very similar. They kind of are made in our image.
Okay.
And what happens is that a fellow by the name of Roger Callahan, who was a psychologist years ago, discovered that with some of his patients, if he had them tap acupuncture meridians, they got immediate resolution of whatever the issue was. So you've got this charge flowing through your body, and it flows along the acupuncture meridians. And anytime you have one of the big three so-called negative emotions, fear, anger, grief, it can cause a short or disruption in this flow. Now, I explain this a little bit different than some other people do. It's just my take on it. It's what I see happening. But when you go in and first you identify the problem, just like if you want to change a file on a computer, you'll start off and you'll say, even though I've got this fear or this anger or this pain in my shoulder, or I really don't want to sit down to dinner with my relatives, I used to be okay anyway. So we're bringing that file up just like we're a computer.
Okay.
Then we're going to continue tapping some more acupuncture meridian points, and we're going to describe the problem in a little more detail, just how bad the relatives actually are. And then we're going to go back in and we're going to start to let go of all this distress that we have about it. And then we can actually even go back in and put better stuff into this file that is us.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. That's a really interesting perspective. I have always heard it as the tapping on the acupressure points calms down the amygdala, the fear center and the alert center of the brain. You're describing it in a way that is a little bit more, to me, a little bit more systemic of there's a short in the system when we have this. And so we are fixing that short. We're addressing that short and moving across.
That's right. We have the one who created us. We are so very elegant in our design. We have the ability, if you get a paper cut, you know you don't have to do anything about that. You know it's going to heal. It's going to get well because we're designed to be whole and well. And it doesn't matter where you live or what you believe or anything. That paper cut's going to get better. Simply speeds the process up. We are remarkable creatures.
Yeah. Awesome.
And this is just a slightly different explanation of it.
Right.
But another thing I want to talk about just for a moment is water. And everybody goes, well, what does that have to do with it? And I know you had Gina Bria on,
I know, right?
Which lovely interview. I'm waiting for her book to come, so it's, yeah. But people tell you to stay hydrated, but they never quite tell you why.
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you why. What happens to a car if the battery's low on fluid, low on water? Your car isn't going to start because it can't carry a charge.
Right.
And the same thing happens in our physiology. exactly the same thing. So this energy charge that flows through our bodies flows on water.
Right.
Water animates
Yeah.
the charge.
Right. Okay.
And if you're not properly hydrated,
Mm-hmm.
then it makes it very easy to short yourself out or harder to repair it, even using EFT. So that's a good thing.
I tell you what, you talking about water, I've got my Gina Bria water right here. So yeah, I have to have water. I love it.
You've got prettier stuff in your water. What's in yours?
I know. I drink mint in my water all the time now.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks to Gina. Yeah. And I've started sending all of my clients to her book and having them get fully hydrated before we start working together for the very same reason. Your body heals faster when you are more hydrated. So, yeah. I love that. Okay. So let's start talking about what's going on. We are in such an incredibly divisive and intense and crazy time right now. It seems like almost any conversation we get into has the possibility of blowing up on us. And so I'm wondering if there are ways that we can just kind of calm everything down so that it doesn't feel like there's so much on the line in all of our communications with one another. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, what I like to do with this is when we feel so divisive, we feel disconnected from each other. Mm-hmm. I think that's the problem. Yeah. And seeing a bigger picture and seeing the ways that we're connected is usually the key to making us feel better about this. Right. So I want to do, I have actually several wonderful rounds of tapping that I want to do. Awesome. Yeah. So the first one I want to do, and I want people to do this thinking about sitting down with family first, because that was the first thing we talked about, and then we'll do some divisive stuff later. Okay. But I want everybody who's watching to just get quiet for a moment, close your eyes if you want to, and think about walking into that holiday gathering with your family and sitting down to dinner with them and see how that makes you feel. Does it make you feel anxious, fearful, sad, angry, or sometimes it's a combination of all of those things. Yeah. Yeah. So give it a number between 0 and 10, with 10 being overwhelming anxiety about the upcoming gathering and 0 being no anxiety. And just appreciate that for a moment. We're not going to stay there very long. Okay. And let's just start on the outside of the hand here. And everybody, I forgot that everybody needs to see my disclaimer before we do a lot of tapping. And I don't know if it got up before this or not. It did? Okay.
I posted it as the first comment below this interview. So do check out the disclaimer. Go ahead.
But we're going to tap. Bless your heart.
All right.
Oh, look at these people.
Look at these people.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
These cannot be my relatives.
These cannot be my relatives.
We don't think the same way about anything.
We don't think the same way about anything.
We don't vote the same.
We don't vote the same.
We have all these different ideas.
We have all these different ideas.
But I'm open to a different perspective. Even though I just don't think I can sit down with these people.
Even though I just don't think I can sit down with them.
Nope, can't do it.
Nope, can't do this.
I completely love and accept myself.
And
I'm open to a little bit of a different perspective. We're all human. And my uncle who always drinks too much. Does it because he doesn't like himself very much. And my aunt who has such strong political views that she can't ever stop talking about it. Is really afraid. And afraid of different ideas and opinions. And it's a lot safer. To come out as being angry rather than fearful.
To come out as being angry rather than fearful.
And we're seeing a lot of that, not just at the dinner table.
And we're seeing a lot of that, not just at the dinner table.
Anger is a lot more socially acceptable.
Anger is a lot more socially acceptable.
Than fear.
Than fear.
But I give myself permission.
But I give myself permission.
To remember.
To remember.
That anger can't exist without fear underneath it to support it.
That anger can't exist without fear underneath it to support it.
Every single attack.
Every single attack.
No matter how big or small.
No matter how big or small.
Is that person saying, I'm afraid.
Is that person saying, I'm afraid.
Please don't hurt me.
Please don't hurt me.
So maybe I can really sit down. There you go. So maybe I can sit down for a few hours with these people.
So maybe I can sit down for a few hours with these people.
I'm not going to live with them.
I'm not going to live with them.
But what if I can see...
But if I can see...
that we all have a lot of common ground.
That we all have a lot of common ground.
We come equipped with the same human emotions.
We come equipped with the same human emotions.
We all feel love.
We all feel love.
And fear.
And fear.
And joy.
And joy.
And compassion.
And compassion.
And I allow myself to remain calm.
And I allow myself to remain calm.
And to know that nobody can make me believe something that I don't want to.
And to know that nobody can make me believe something that I don't want to.
I allow myself to feel safe.
I allow myself to feel safe.
At dinner with my family.
At dinner with my family.
Hold your wrist points.
Which ones? Okay.
Just top to bottom here and breathe. Let's take a breath. And blow it out. Okay. Now, that should have brought everybody's number down a little bit. Just a little bit there.
Right. Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Absolutely.
I love the way you pointed out when I took that sigh. Can you describe why you did that and what that means to our viewers?
When people, well, and it's interesting, that's when people have made a shift. Okay. And I'm used to seeing this because I've tapped with so many zillion people over the years. And you will actually see their face relax. Yeah. Sometimes they will sigh or yawn. Mm-hmm. And this is my favorite. Some people burp.
Funny.
I know. There are burpers out there. God loves it. It's fun. But you can, when you're starting to let go of an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when someone is doing this themselves, they're following you, they're following me, and they're tapping along. When they notice themselves taking that larger breath, that's an indication that the system is relaxing and dropping out, and this is helping. Right.
They're letting go of it. Nice. They've identified the problem, and they're starting to let go of it and work with it and go, okay, maybe this isn't the end of the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that because when I'm tapping by myself, I'm not a major tapper. I really need to follow someone. But when I'm tapping by myself and I start to sigh, I'm like, okay, well, I can trust that it's happening. Like something's working. So there we go.
I like to tap with someone else too. And fortunately there are a billion videos out there. So that's always useful. But yeah, I think it's good to tap with someone else. Mm-hmm. And I do a fair amount of tapping just by myself. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I agree. I like to tap with somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's a nice perspective because I've just found it really hard to get myself through anything when I'm tapping on my own.
Well, you're not alone.
Great.
Actually, when I first found out about tapping, I read about it from Mercola's newsletter years and years ago, and I thought, yeah, okay, that's kind of interesting, but I don't know how to apply that or use it. It just didn't really grab me. Mm-hmm. So it was a couple of years later when I realized I had had back pain for years since I was a teenager, and finally one day leaned over to put a cup in the dishwasher in 2002 and could not straighten up. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah. And I was young, I was in shape, I had a regular yoga practice, but something was haywire. Right. And during that week, whacked out on painkillers and muscle relaxants, I made myself a promise that I was going to figure out why this was happening to me.
Okay.
And I was trying to find a fix for it. And I started looking.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing sprang to mind. EFT didn't come to mind until one day I went to have a massage with a friend of mine, and she met me at the door and she said, "Oh my God, you have to see this list." Mm-hmm. And I said, I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but we got a minute here. Right. and I said, what list? And she said, well, it's in this book, and it's the coolest list I've ever seen, but I don't know what you do with it. And so I walked in, and it was in a book called Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die by Carol Kuhn Truman. And it was a list of over 200 illnesses and their probable underlying emotional causes. And she said, look at this list. I just don't know what you do with it. And the instant I looked at this list, I knew. It was like that cartoon light came on over my head, and all of this information flowed straight into my head. And I went, oh my God, that's what you say when you tap. And we have totally misunderstood what pain is. Mm-hmm. Not that pain is any fun, but pain is a guide and a map of our interior, the things we're designed to let go of and not hold on to. Because the big three, fear, anger, and grief, we're all designed as humans to experience the full range of emotion, but we are not physically capable of holding on to those without causing distress in our system. Mm-hmm. And so that was what started me on it. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is I got a list now.
Right.
It's a map.
That's fascinating. I have that book.
It's great.
Yeah, I bought that book years ago when I was searching for the solution to my chronic illness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and Louise Hay has a comparable list in You Can Heal Your Body. Right. And there's a lot of crossover. There's some similarities. And then over time, I've added to the list. Right. But physical pain and emotional pain are the same thing. Right. And that's why we can work using tapping. We can work with both of these things. Mm-hmm. Yes. I love that.
It's a great tool.
Awesome. Thank you for telling your story.
Yeah.
I always think it helps us kind of get a hold on why use these tools. Why are they important when we know how they've helped somebody else? We know how you got here. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because everybody has their own journey with this stuff. And that, I even have that on my site. I talk a little bit about that because people go, well, how did you start doing this? Right. Now, when we go back to what we're here for today, which is not physical pain, but extreme stress from feeling disconnected from other people and divisive. And we've just had an election and that was quite, it was a wild ride and all the things leading up to it. And, we've had another round of just awful stuff. Mm-hmm. And I am not someone who really supports telling people don't watch the news for some reason. Now, I think you need to sometimes restrict your intake. But here's the deal. You cannot fix a problem that you do not see. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely the truth. There is no way around it. And I think all of these things are coming up for us to actually see them. Yeah. And we can frequently get ourselves into a situation where we're overwhelmed by all this stuff because we think we should be doing something about it. Mm-hmm. And in fact, we can't. Yeah. But the very fact that we're all human and connected in so many ways, and we're going to talk about that too, and tap about it, someone who is way smarter than I am, who is able to think a different thought than I'm thinking, is going to figure out a way to solve this problem or that problem. Mm-hmm. And historically, that's the case. We have proof of this. Mm-hmm. So use this to help yourself feel a little bit better about what you're seeing. Not that anything is going to be less horrifying. I mean, it is, but just understand we have only our human perspective. Mm-hmm. We're living in human form, and it's limited. We are only seeing this much. We have no way to know what someone else's path or journey is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And even though sometimes it really looks bad to us, we can't determine why they're having that. It's not up to us. Right. It's their path. Mm-hmm. Have to come back around and appreciate this in a little bit different way. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk just a little bit about mirrors. Okay. Humans are not able to see, we're not able to see ourselves clearly.
Right.
But that's why we have each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're designed to be mirrors, reflections of each other.
Yeah.
So when we're feeling a particular feeling or going through an experience, if you're having a conversation with someone and you're going, I hate this. How can you think that? It's really triggering you or me or anyone listening. I want you to look at that person who's really annoying you and go, oh, okay, I've done this for years and it works. Look inside yourself. Stop for a minute, take a breath and go, okay, what is it about you that so annoys me that I really hate in myself?
Right.
It's always there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds like a weird thing,
mm-hmm.
but it is always in there. So sometimes the people that really irritate us the most
mm-hmm.
are the ones we have the most to learn from.
Right.
About ourselves.
Right. And where that sends me, especially kind of in relationship to what we just did with the tapping, was if someone is acting in anger or they're, drinking to, that whole thing at the table and they're obnoxious, knowing that there's fear underneath that, even when we're not cognitively aware that there's fear underneath it, I think we feel the fear and we don't like it. And it resonates with my fear. Like, you acting out of your fear over there sends my fear up, and suddenly I don't like anything that's going on right now because my fear is taking over.
Yeah.
So even when we're not exactly, we don't exactly see ourselves in their behavior, the acting out in fear is something we all do.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing we've got to remember is how connected we are. Yeah. And that's what we're going to do next. That's some tapping we're going to do next.
Awesome.
And I came up with this just for you.
All right.
Just for today. Just
Cheers.
for today. And let's just jump into tapping.
Okay.
And just say, I allow myself to remember.
I allow myself to remember.
That we humans are all connected.
That we humans are all connected.
In ways that we cannot even begin to imagine.
In ways that we cannot even begin to imagine.
And scientists prove every single day.
And scientists prove every single day.
In new ways.
In new ways.
That we are connected.
That we are connected.
And we're always surprised by it.
And we're always surprised by it.
And I allow myself to remember.
I allow myself to remember.
That we're a great species.
That we are a great species.
We are the most unique things ever in creation.
We are the most unique things ever in creation.
There's never been anything like us before.
There's never been anything like us before.
And in the same way that all species need genetic diversity to flourish.
Need genetic diversity to flourish.
And to thrive.
And to thrive.
Humans need the same things.
Humans need the same things.
But because we are so unique, we also require diversity of thought. In order to reach our full potential as a species. We must have diversity of thought. Even though sometimes it doesn't appeal to us. Our greatest thinkers throughout history. Our greatest innovators. We're probably terrible to live next door to. We remember them very compassionately as...
We remember them very compassionately from here.
They were eccentric geniuses. But might not have been a whole lot of fun to sit down to dinner with. I allow myself to see that diversity is a good thing. And that it is probably necessary. And besides, how boring would it be if we all thought exactly the same thing? There's no growth in that.
There's no growth in that.
There's no contrast in that.
There's no contrast in that.
And actually, there's no fun in it either.
And actually, there's no fun in it either.
So I choose to celebrate diversity today.
So I choose to celebrate diversity today.
And every day.
And every day.
And to remember that we're here.
And to remember that we're here.
Together.
Together.
Whether we like it or not.
Whether we like it or not.
And that we are all connected in ways that we cannot begin to imagine yet.
And that we are all connected in ways that we cannot begin to imagine yet.
I choose to radiate compassion.
I choose to radiate compassion.
And love.
And love.
For our entire species.
For our entire species.
Because I can.
Because I can.
And we need it.
And we need it.
And it feels good to do this.
And it feels good to do this.
And when I radiate compassion and love.
And when I radiate compassion and love.
I remember
that
it's going to be radiated back at me.
That it's going to be radiated back at me.
I choose to absorb this now.
I choose to absorb this now.
Because I completely love and accept me.
Because I completely love and accept me.
Okay, take a breath.
Awesome.
Everybody should be pretty chill from that one.
Right? I love that. Oh, you brought up 2 points that I really wanted to get to. And so I'd like to jump into those unless you want to kind of debrief that.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So one of the ideas that has sort of just been becoming more and more part of my thinking lately is how we live in this place of pretty disposable relationships. Because largely of the way we interact on Facebook, we can block a person, they don't necessarily know it, we can close off that relationship, and doesn't look like there are any repercussions around that. And so one of the questions that I've always got running is, why bother do the work that you and I just did? Why bother going to Thanksgiving when it's just going to be a shit show? Like, why bother doing these things, trying to maintain these relationships when it's so much work? And I think one of the things you talked about in that tapping gets at that point, that we are connected and it does matter. And I wonder if you want to talk to that point anymore.
Sure. The first thing I would say is that and this is in my humble opinion, relationships cannot end. Okay. They can simply change. Okay. There is no way to end them. Okay. I mean, we may think we can, right, but they're still out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. So what we can do is change the nature of the relationship. Mm-hmm. And just because, and I want people to work toward loving themselves so that they can radiate that, because that's what we need now. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't, just because you love someone doesn't mean you always like them. Right. And we have this thought that just because these people are family, our loved ones, and we do love them, that we should always agree with them and always like them. And that's just not true. That's something somebody made up. I don't know who made that up, but that's not true.
It's not true.
Oh, so give yourself permission to go occasionally, well, I don't like you very much. I still do, but I still do maintain love for you unconditionally, but I'm going to just not do this today. Mm-hmm. I don't have to do this today. But if we disconnect from each other and don't go and sit down, you don't know what you might be bringing to that holiday table, mm-hmm, to that dinner. You don't know what you might be bringing there, mm-hmm, or who might need what you're about to radiate. Right. And those people need your participation. We need each other. Mm-hmm. You can't live in a vacuum.
Right.
We have all tried that, and it doesn't work.
Right. Right.
Instead of saying, screw it, I'm not going to go to Thanksgiving dinner with these people. It's too much. It feels like too much work. Mm-hmm. Maybe a better reframe would be, what am I bringing to the table today, mm-hmm, that may change the course of someone's life, mm-hmm, for the better?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And always look at that, because small things count. We never know. When you generate an emotion, whether it's fear or love, it creates a ripple.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where that ends.
Right.
And, there are a lot of things on Facebook about small acts of kindness and the profound effect that they can have in people's lives. So for every single person watching this, whether you're watching us live, I want you to appreciate every day, not just during the holidays, but every day, what that one nice thing you might say to somebody is going to do to improve the quality of their life. Mm-hmm. Or holding a door for someone, or saying, thank you for making this. The potatoes are great, Mom. We simply do not know. Mm-hmm. The only thing we can do is to continue to make the effort to be as good as we can be, mm-hmm. and as compassionate as we can be, and as loving as we can be. Mm-hmm. Nice. Is that a good enough explanation of why the show?
Yeah, I think it's an important conversation to keep coming back to, because the divisiveness it's tempting. I mean, it's tempting to close the door on relationships and on opposing views and conflict and all of those things. And I think we need to keep coming back to the why bother? Why do any of this? And not only, maybe we can actually have a positive impact.
Let's just go back here. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that I can really make a difference in anybody's life.
I'm not sure that I can really make a difference in anybody's life.
Certainly not my family.
Certainly not my family.
I don't think they listen to me.
I don't think they listen to me.
Why would they?
Why would they?
But maybe I haven't said the right thing just yet.
Or maybe I haven't said the right thing just yet.
Or maybe I haven't spoken with love.
Or maybe I haven't spoken it with love.
And I choose to change that now.
And I choose to change that now.
I allow myself to speak with love.
I allow myself to speak with love.
For myself.
For myself.
And with compassion for myself.
And with compassion for myself.
And to also hear and speak with love.
And to also hear and speak with love.
To others.
To others.
Because I can.
Because I can.
I have better tools than they do.
I have better tools than they do.
And it's my responsibility.
And it's my responsibility.
To use those tools to show up as my best self.
To use those tools to show up as my best self.
Because I can.
Because I can.
I'm capable of it.
I'm capable of it.
And maybe they aren't looking forward to sitting down to dinner any more than I am.
And maybe they aren't looking forward to sitting down to dinner any more than I am.
But what if it could be fun?
But what if it could be fun?
It might be.
It might be.
The potential for fun is always there.
The potential for fun is always there.
Laughter is good medicine.
Laughter is good medicine.
So maybe I need to make a little bit of lighthearted fun this year.
So maybe I need to make a little bit of lighthearted fun this year.
Maybe if we all lighten up just a little bit.
Maybe if we all lighten up just a little bit.
We can all calm down.
We can all calm down.
And get along a little better.
And get along a little better.
It's not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world.
It's not brain surgery.
It's not brain surgery.
It's dinner.
It's dinner.
We can do this.
We can do this. I love it.
Well, does that feel like you can manage it now?
Yes, I love that.
I hope this is coming. I hope the numbers are dropping for everybody. We're going, okay, yeah, I can do this.
I can do this. It's
and
just dinner.
You'll have some recording. You can always come back and tap with us again.
Right. I love it. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I loved that.
Thank you.
And did you have another series you wanted to go through? Was there another issue you wanted to look at with tapping?
I think I kind of covered everything that I wanted to cover today.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
So yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yes, I love especially that last one about the idea of using tapping, maybe starting with the very beginning of this is really going to be an intense weekend and I don't want to be there and I'm not looking forward to it. and then going into, it's just dinner. Maybe I
Yeah.
can bring lighthearted fun.
Yeah, it's just one night.
Right.
It's just dinner.
Right. Yeah.
And you have great tools. You're a great energy practitioner, so am I. And all the people out there that we are touching with this video are going to feel better. And you and I don't know how many people that's going to be. So we are essentially sitting down to dinner with a whole bunch of people, you and I.
All of their families.
That's right, with all of their families, especially that uncle who passes out under the table.
Right. Yeah. And now, actually, from just the tapping and the conversation we've had just now, I can see that uncle passing out under the table because doesn't want to connect, doesn't want to deal with all of the crap that shows up at Thanksgiving. And so I'd rather drink. I get it. Yeah. I can have compassion for that person.
There you go. Right. My late mother-in-law used to have this great saying, and because one time we were talking, we were great friends, and I said, "Oh my God, my family is so odd," and she said, "Oh honey, don't worry about it." She said, "Everybody's family's normal till you get to know them."
Right. That's true. Totally. Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been so delightful, such a joy, and the ideas and the possibilities from what you've put out here today, it's so amazing how easily we can shift out of the fear and the constriction and the intensity, and just maybe I can bring lightness, maybe I can do some good. And I love tapping for that because of the way it just bypasses our fear. It jumps us out of that and allows us to think in a different way.
It does. That's the best thing we can do, is to be our best selves.
Yeah.
And show up as our best selves and to feel good. And everything else kind of falls into line around that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a miraculous thing how that works. So everybody, leave us some comments. I want to know how the holidays go for you after this.
Yeah, right. I would love to know. And also, did any of these reframes land for you? Were any of these ideas useful and ones that you're going to take with you for Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything else that we're looking at over the next few weeks? Okay. Yeah. Again, thank you so much. Sharon's website is apainplan.com.
It is.
Right. You can visit her there. Like Healing Invisible Illness if you want to see more of these videos. And I will see you next week with, I think, next week's interview is with Tara Davis, I think. So we'll see you next Friday.
Happy holidays.
Yes. Yep. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you. And any minute now. Finish.